Okay, so to the critique. Today we're reviewing a commentary script on digital creators Lil Tay and Camila Araujo. Specifically, their complaints about the industry and their pivots into mentorship.
Let's get right into it.
Okay, so to start, the first critique looks at how the script counters Lil Tay's claim that her work is the hardest job in the modern economy.
Right.
And right now, the rebuttal is pretty reliant on just dismissing her.
Yeah. It calls her claims whining or rage bait, and then jumps to comparing her to, fictional characters. Tony Montana.
Exactly. And I've been looking at this section, and while I get the comedic angle, comparing her to a drug lord from Scarface, I just wonder if that approach actually, weakens the argument.
It kind of does. It risks trivializing the actual labor she talks about. She lists out a bunch of real tasks in her post, and by just jumping to mockery, the script misses a chance to be, more rigorous.
I completely agree. It goes for the laugh, but it sacrifices a bit of authority. So the opportunity here is to shift from that mockery to more of a steelman approach.
Yes, exactly. So instead of just dismissing her, what if the script actually validated her premises first?
Go on.
She gives this whole laundry list of logistical tasks, managing legal, marketing, retention, dealing with the algorithm. Those are real business functions.
They are.
If the script just waves them away, the host kind of sounds out of touch. It gives the audience an easy out to just say, well, this guy doesn't get how hard social media really is.
That's a great point. So, to make this stronger, instead of comparing Lil Tay with a drug dealer, which is hyperbolic,
it's easy to dismiss.
We should suggest comparing the risks she talks about to risks in, say, manual labor or the gig economy.
Yes. Is the Scarface comparison really overlooking the much, much more potent comparison to an Amazon delivery driver?
Tell me more.
Well, think about it. Lil Tay complains about shadow bans, right? About platform instability. Her income could disappear overnight because of an algorithm.
Okay, that's a real anxiety.
It's a real stressor. The script should acknowledge that, but the pivot shouldn't be to a fictional cartel boss. It should be to a gig worker. An Amazon driver faces algorithm instability every single day. Their route, their pay, their job security, they're all precarious. One wrong move and they're terminated.
But here's the crucial difference, and this is where the argument really lands. It's the upside.
Precisely. The Amazon driver faces those risks from minimum wage. Lil Tay faces them for a potential multi-million-dollar upside that she, got in 24 hours.
Right. So you acknowledge the tasks are real work. You're not denying the labor.
You're just focusing on the disproportionate reward. That makes the argument against her hardest job claim intellectually bulletproof. It's not just an emotional reaction.
You're not saying she's lazy. You're saying she lacks perspective. And that hits a lot harder.
Much harder.
Okay, that flows perfectly into our second segment. Let's talk about the section on Camila Araujo's mentorship program. The current draft really goes after her intelligence. It calls her a low IQ individual, a hapless fool.
Yeah, that was a friction point for me. Ad hominem attacks, they usually just signal that the writer has run out of actual arguments.
They do. It feels weak.
I wonder if the script would just be so much more persuasive if it dropped the insults and focused completely on the logical fallacy she uses.
The one about Googling surgery?
Exactly. It's a classic case of the writer being so annoyed by her that they just resort to name-calling.
But the suggestion here is to get specific. Contrast the credential barriers to entry with open barriers.
That's the whole key. Camila's argument is, people pay for med school to learn surgery, so they should pay her to learn social media. She says you wouldn't just Google how to do heart surgery.
Right.
The critique needs to point out that her argument fails, not because she's stupid, but because she's conflating two totally different things.
Knowledge access versus practical application and legal permission.
Yes. You can't Google surgery because you legally cannot cut someone open without a degree. It is a credentialed field. Social media is an open field. You can Google how to go viral. You can learn by doing.
Nobody's going to arrest you for posting a bad TikTok.
Exactly. And by explaining that, the host sounds like an expert on the industry, not just a hater. And then there's the Suits reference.
Oh, this is a golden opportunity that the script just completely misses.
It really is. So Camila brings up Mike Ross from Suits to justify why you don't need traditional education. The script just kind of mocks her for using a fictional character.
But we can go deeper. Why did Mike Ross succeed on that show?
He was a genius. He had a photographic memory.
Precisely. The critique should argue that Mike Ross succeeded because of an innate, basically superhuman talent, Not because he bought a $50,000 mentorship course from Harvey Specter.
She's using an example of a guy who succeeded without a course to sell her course.
She's completely undermining her own sales pitch. And pointing out that irony is so much more devastating than just calling her a hapless fool.
It uses her own evidence against her. It's just a much higher level of debate.
Okay, moving on to the third segment. This is about the structure, the transition between the Lil Tay story and the Camila Araujo story.
Right, and right now, they feel very separate.
Like two different news items that just happened in the same week.
Yeah, it has a list of complaints feel. First, we talk about Lil Tay, then we just switch gears entirely to Camila. There's no glue.
So the goal is to build a cohesive narrative. And the suggestion is to frame these two stories as a timeline.
The influencer life cycle?
The influencer life cycle. I love that. It's a brilliant way to unify the whole script.
Think about it. Lil Tay is the realization phase. She's that moment the creator discovers that the easy money is actually a nightmare of logistics and emotional labor. She's the burnout.
Okay, and then Camila Araujo is...
She's the exit strategy phase. She's the creator who's realized the work is too hard, so she's pivoting to the selling shovels phase.
Selling the dream to other people instead of doing the work herself.
Exactly. That structure transforms the piece from just a reaction video into a video essay that actually has a thesis.
And you can take it a step further. You can use Camila's background to directly refute Lil Tay.
Yes, so Lil Tay's argument is that her success is all about hard work and audience psychology.
That's why she thinks she deserves the money.
Right. But the script mentions Camila's history. She worked for Mr. Beast. She had that viral moment with Squid Game. She used lawsuit money to fund her business.
You're saying use those facts to reinforce a different theme?
A theme of luck plus capital. You use Camila's story to prove Lil Tay's idea of pure meritocracy is wrong.
I see. So you tie the two halves together.
You create a unified argument about the myth of meritocracy in this industry. Lil Tay says, I work so hard, I am the 1%. And the host can come back and say, actually, look at Camila. She succeeded because she was in the right place at the right time and she had capital. It makes the whole script feel like one coherent thought.
That brings a level of sophistication that is definitely missing right now. Okay, finally, let's look at the fourth segment, credibility and tone. The source material uses some pretty derogatory language.
It does. We're seeing terms like OnlyFans hoes, sick in the head, a lot of focus on their sexual history.
And the critique here is that this kind of language, it just distracts from the legitimate financial point.
It does. You risk alienating listeners who might actually agree with the financial critique but are turned off by the moralizing.
Analyst. So the feedback is to replace that moral judgment with consumer protection analysis.
That widens the appeal so much.
It does. But how would that work in practice? I mean, the script attacks Camila for selling her soul. That's subjective.
Right, but the source also mentions she's accused of a bait and switch.
Promising nudity, but delivering lingerie?
Exactly. The suggestion is to focus on that. That isn't a moral failing. That's false advertising. That's a breach of contract with your customer.
That's a much stronger ground to stand. What about the mentorship program itself?
The idea is to reframe it. It's not the desperate move of a sex worker. It's a classic guru grift.
The script does kind of mention this at the very end, comparing her to male pickup artists.
But it's an afterthought. That point about coach fatigue, which is raised in the final seconds, that's actually the strongest theme in the whole piece.
So instead of tacking it on at the end, thread it through the entire second half.
Exactly. Treat Camila Araujo not as a failed model, but as another predatory internet guru, just like the crypto scammers or the dropshipping guys.
And if you frame it that way, the critique becomes about protecting the listener's wallet.
Yes. The source notes her course costs anywhere from $89 to $50,000. Focus on that price point. Focus on the lack of a real return on investment. Proving her business model is mathematically impossible for her students is so much more damaging than just calling her names.
It shifts the entire tone from, look at these crazy people, to, here is how you are being tricked. It empowers the listener.
It really does. And frankly, it removes that incel vibe that the current draft risks giving off. If you stick to the economics and the deceptive marketing, the host maintains the high ground without ever having to preach.
Okay, so to wrap this all up, let's just go over the actionable suggestion. We're looking for a rewrite that incorporates 4 major shifts.
Correct. First, on Lil Tay, steel man her argument. Acknowledge her list of tasks is real work.
And swap the drug lord analogy for the Amazon driver to highlight the disproportionate reward.
Second, on Camila Araujo, cut the IQ insults. dismantle the logic of her Google surgery analogy instead.
And use her own Suits example against her to show that real success in that story came from talent, not a course.
Third, the structure.
The influencer life cycle. Frame Lil Tay as the realization phase and Camila as the exit phase. Unify the two stories.
And finally, the tone. Pivot from moralizing to consumer protection.
Talk about them as grifters, not hoes. Analyze the bait and switch, the predatory pricing.
And make coach fatigue the central lens for that whole second half.
That covers it. We want to see a script that's sharper, less emotional, and structurally a lot more sound.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how the writer handles that transition. If they can nail that influencer life cycle idea, this piece could be really special.
We invite the listener to submit their work back in for more feedback once these changes are made. We'll be keeping an eye out.
Can't wait.
This has been The Critique. Keep writing.